Oh, no.
Down with disease, 3 weeks in my bed.
A lot of people are into Fish. Well, I find them utterly coma-inducing.
My ex-girlfriend was real into them.
It takes me forever just to find like an upbeat song from these guys. I know Fish fans like screaming right now, pulling their hair out, but I don't know the whole catalog, obviously. But I was thinking about the Venn diagram of people who love Fish but hate Jimmy Fallon because they're going to have a decision to make. Fish is going to play Jimmy Fallon's show for the first time in 8 years. I'm going to be the musical guest this Thursday night. They're getting ready to drop their 16th album. Of course, Fish fans, these guys can do no wrong. You know, I mean, they'll just kind of follow along whatever. That's the kind of fan base that any band would want. And they haven't been on late night TV since October of 2016, coming back to Jimmy Fallon. See, my favorite project that Trey Anastasio has done was a little thing called Oysterhead from about, that thing's probably 20 years old now. It was him, it was Les Claypool, and it was Stuart Copeland. And they did a one-off album, just the three of them wanking for, on their respective instruments for the better part of an hour. But Fish, I just could never, ever. I appreciate what they do. They referred to Homer Simpson as a potheed. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But I never, ever could get into these guys. But as a steward of the public airwaves, Fish fans, although they're probably first in line with all the deets on this kind of stuff, they probably have like the Fish fan boards and letters and things like that. They get the email blast probably from the band. But if not, they're going to be doing Jimmy Fallon. Oh, God, I got to turn this off. I was trying to find something upbeat, and I guess that constitutes upbeat. But God bless people who are into that band, because every band should have diehard fans, but they do nothing for me. Apparently, we are back to giving away money as well. I come back from a week on, and I'm trying to catch up with everything. We're handing off keys for that Buzzard bike. We're back to giving away that Harley, and apparently we're back with the Buzzard bookie as well. So I have a shot for you to grab $1,000. I'm not getting any information on this anymore, I guess, because, God, what did I read? Somebody in the email chain said that people were too confused or something by the information. I'm like, well, it's more confusing if I don't know what's happening, because and again, the only reason I ask is because I'm not lying. Up until minutes before showtime today, it has just been non-stop technical difficulties in here. Me on calls with support people and tech people, and nobody could figure out what's going on. So largely troubleshooting that I've had to do myself. And so I'm like, well, maybe this is all screwed up. I can't be here giving away $1,000 if we're not doing that again. But we are. So 30 past every hour. Listen for those keywords. Next one coming here in about 5 minutes. And then next week, by the way, we're going to start talking about Captain Fun's floating fandango.
Oh, buddy.
Because there's going to be some new details about that. Some
jet skis,
paragliding off the bow, and there will be some. There'll be a Titanic photo booth for people
billionaires only.
Do some King of the World stuff. Yeah. So.
For like. I got it.
Yeah,
we're not gonna send them down to the.
No. There's not gonna be any
wreckage.
kind of. No.
Put you in a janky submarine and be like, enjoy your.
No underseas adventures. No, we want everybody on board Captain Fun's floating fandango. So details on that. I will have a handful of ticket stops along the way as well. But it is mere weeks away. So I think probably 1 week from today I'll have all the details for you. We had a pretty low-key July 4th, by the way. It rained all day. We went to a friend's house. A bunch of us were hanging out. They had a barbecue, but it was just, at least where we were, it was pouring rain. And so we didn't even like go watch fireworks because like it was raining. But I did, kind of an interesting piece of information is the guy who won the Nathan's hot dog contest on the 4th of July. Did you watch any of this?
I just saw the
Because
lemonade
Joey
one.
Chestnut's not in it anymore.
Yeah, Joey Chestnut did a different one, and he ate 57 hot dogs in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Phew.
Yeah.
The lemonade guy went viral because he was vomiting lemonade.
Rob posted that on MMS's Instagram.
I didn't. Was this the first time they'd done a lemonade contest, or
I just think it's the first time somebody's just. Did you see it, Mary?
No, I did not, and I'm not going to.
It looked
I
like
don't
the
like
scene. What's the
puke.
movie where the
Oh,
kid
you
pukes
don't?
the pie? Is it Stand By Me?
Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lard ass.
Lard ass. Well, here I'll play a little clip here.
And the winner is Patrick Bertoletti. Chicago, Illinois.
It was all focused today, no mohawk, just hot water, and I wasn't going to stop eating until the job was done.
Pat Bertoletti was one of my interns when I was out in Chicago.
Oh. Get the AC bump.
Hey, hey.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I've talked to him in quite
AC
some
hot dog
time,
bump.
but I wasn't even really paying attention. I'm like, Pat Bertoletti, what? He won 58 hot dogs. Now that's well below, the business that Joey Chestnut was doing. And Joey and Kobayashi are doing that thing on Labor Day weekend, yeah? They're doing the Return of the Beef or something.
I don't
or
know. Is that
Unbeatable Beef?
I don't keep.
Is it impossible? Because isn't he sponsored by that?
I don't know what it's
Yeah.
called. Yeah, maybe. But he and Kobayashi is coming out of retirement since Joey Chestnut got kicked out of the Nathans thing, and I think it's going to be on Netflix. But it's got some name like something beef, uncompetable beef, or
Uncompetable.
something.
Uncompetable.
I don't know what it is. It's called the Unfinished Beef.
Oh.
Joey Chestnut, the 16-time champion, and Takaru Kobayashi, his former nemesis. On September 2nd, it will stream live on Netflix, and it's called Unfinished Beef. But my old intern, Pat Bertoletti from Chicago, Illinois, is the 2024 Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Championship. Congratulations to him. He was, many years ago, of course, when he was still a young man and just getting going in competitive eating, he was kind of a local hero. And then I guess he blew up from there. But that was a wild thing to hear. Speaking of Chicago, Mary did Zanies.
I did.
My
It was so
favorite,
fun.
it's the OG of Chicago comedy clubs. It's the last one standing. And I love Zanies.
It was awesome. It was I was actually really nervous because the weather was perfect. It was like 75 and sunny on a Wednesday. And I'm like, dude, nobody's about to show up to this place. I think they said it holds like 120. And we had like 40 people there, which doesn't sound like a lot.
In August, or in July,
July.
July.
That's a sellout.
That's a sellout in July. That's incredible.
Like a Wednesday in July,
Yeah.
not a Friday or
Yeah.
Saturday. So I actually felt really good about that. I was like, a Wednesday in July with perfect weather, 40 people. We had 2 bureau chiefs. And every time I say I'm going to make a note of who they are, and I friggin' forget their names. We had 2 bureau chiefs
don't
come
care.
out to the Zanies in Old Town. I do care.
If you cared, you'd make a note.
But listen, here's what I'm going to say.
Joy and Lombard?
Maybe. One of the people said that they got my email, so it might have been Joy. If she
Joy
was
was
the
the one
like,
who emailed me and said,
Yes.
please, and I forwarded it to you. She said,
Yes.
please let Mary know that I got her. Andrea's in Riverside.
So I think it was Joy then.
Yeah, Joy came out from Lombard.
It was great. Thank you so much. And then here's what I'll say. I was kind of walking around the city, that part of Old Town, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's right. You can see the water. I had like one of those boutique hotels that you can overlook the lake. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Chicago might be the city. Like, I live in New York and
Might
I love New
be,
York.
Mary.
Well, you've been talking about it for years and nobody listens because you just me all the time. I'm in Chicago. I like my pizza from Balubadobbies. And
I'll tell you what, she did a good job of condensing everything I've ever said about my hometown
That's all
into
you've
a
ever
quick
said.
25 seconds. It's pretty good.
but it was
Did you go over to the
awesome.
Old Town School of Folk Music?
I did not.
Did you see what they were doing? It's right there.
But it's like a cleaner, nicer, prettier version of New York. And I just guess I've not spent a lot of time there. But I was
That's
like,
the conclusion a lot of people come to, is they're like, it's like New York, but with real people.
but better. Yeah. I was like, even just in the one day, I was kind of walking around and grabbed a sandwich and had a little mocktail at a bar after the show. And I was like, I could live here. I see why Alan talks so much about Chicago. Like, it is
Did you
pretty
tell your
awesome.
brothers about this? Because I'm sure they reminded you that you're gonna get murdered there. There's just so much murder in Chicago.
There's murder everywhere. I live in New York. There's murder everywhere.
Yeah, you gotta top that.
But yeah, I wanted to give you a little nod saying I'm on your side.
Yeah, you act like you had to be convinced.
I did have to be
I'm not like
convinced.
talking out of my ass here. It's the greatest city in the country.
Listen, I don't know about all that.
Well, I'm
I
telling
don't
you.
know if you've heard of a little place called Bree, Ohio.
I'm
but
telling
You never been to Dubuque?
Well, I never have been to Dubuque, so I guess I'll wait until I make it out there. But no, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I had a great time, and only being there for a day. I was
Summer
like,
in Chicago is nothing like it.
Yeah,
man.
I was
nothing
like, I kind of
like it.
wish I had a weekend so I could go literally across the street to the beach.
Yeah,
Beautiful water, blue. Why is it blue? It's a lake.
because it's a very deep lake. It's beautiful.
Oh.
Lake Erie's blue most of the time.
Lake Erie is not blue.
Lake Erie is
It's
kind of
blue, almost like
grayish.
every-
It's a grayish beige.
brown.
No, I see it every day, and it is
But
blue.
you also see it further out than everyone else can. Like
No,
the
there
part
is
where
some-
you swim in
there
Lake
is-
Michigan is
no,
blue.
I've seen pictures that have been untouched or whatever. There is a bit of shoreline around in Northeast Ohio where it is very blue.
It is very blue. I drive past it on my way to work. I drive past Edgewater. If it's like raining and it's, there's a bunch of waves, it's very brown. But on like a nice calm day, it's very blue.
Well, and you were right there by Lincoln Park, Mary, with your
Yes.
hotel. And
It was
of
a
course
very
the-
cute area, so I think that might have had something to do with it too. That not that there's a part of Chicago that isn't walkable, but I was between Old Town, which
Well,
is
there's
like a little,
some parts of the city where they're walkable. You just walk it a little bit faster than you would elsewhere.
Would you describe Old Town as like a Tremont or an Ohio City? Because that's what it felt like. Like a little happening area.
I guess well, there's a billion of those. When people email me, they go, "Hey, what's the cool neighborhood in Chicago?" I'm like, "Get in a cab and go anywhere. You'll be fine." But yeah, no, you're right. It's it's a cool spot.
Yeah.
Zoo's right there. And
Yeah. Big park.
Yeah.
People on the water. I was like, this is pretty cool. Live in one of these little lake-facing condos. Who knows?
Who runs Zanies now?
I know the booker's named Lucy. She's based out of Nashville, and then the manager was a guy named Robbie.
I don't think I know anybody because
He's
I know
young. It's all young.
Bert Haas was the guy
Bert's
who
Bert's
he's been
a
gone
minute.
for a while
Yeah.
now, but he's the guy who brought one of the Jim Gaffigan albums. He had Bert bring him out, and he's the guy with the thick Chicago accent. I forget which one it is. He's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Gaffigan." That's Bert Haas, right? But Zanies was like, listen, I started doing stand-up in 1990. All right, I was a sophomore in college.
Oh, I was one.
Zanies is the last OG comedy club in Chicago. Like, they're still there. That's the beauty of it.
It's cool. It's a cool venue. There's a ton of history. They've got a million headshots on the wall, which is cool. It's just cool to see. And yeah,
Zanies is like the hilarities of Chicago.
yeah.
Yeah, everybody go because like when
Everybody
I got going,
knows it.
you could work there was the Improv and there was the Funny Firm and we had a Catch a Rising Star in the Hyatt Regency when they were trying to make Catch a chain. And they had the Comedy Cottage if you wanted to take the Blue Line to O'Hare. There were like a dozen other clubs in the burbs, but I didn't have a car. And a lot of clubs would just showcase, right? They'd run like 10, 15 acts a night. And like maybe one night of the week, they'd have like a big old headliner. But Zanies, man, they stuck it out.
It was great.
They're still there.
complaints.
It's a
10 out of
great
10.
room. Yeah.
And I'm annoyed that I have to agree with you about something.
Why?
I don't know. It's more fun not to.
Well, no, I say a lot of agreeable things.
But if New York style pizza were in Chicago, if that's what they were known for, if the pizza here were there and you didn't have that nasty cheese soup that you guys call pizza.
But that's
But
not
that's
what
not
locals
even
eat.
Yeah.
Locals are
I
not
know
eating
it's
deep
not.
dish.
Haven't you watched a Pizza Hut commercial? The tavern cut has been exposed.
Oh.
But
The
that's what we-
Chicago-style tavern cut.
That's what we grew up eating. We didn't grow up eating deep dish. Like if you had people in from out of town, they go, "Hey, let's go to Giordano's." You okay? Yeah, cool. That's fine. Like once or twice a year. Yeah, it's good, man.
Isn't
but
your Illuminati pizza deep dish?
but I get them shipped, so they're
Doesn't
not.
matter.
No, it does matter because they're a smaller version of that. So they're not the giant doorstop of cheese and sauce that is your traditional go to a restaurant, order a deep dish. And you're right. They give you, listen,
Gross. It's
people's
soupy.
criticisms of Chicago deep dish, I absolutely see where they're coming from. But that's not the kind of pizza we grew up eating. We grew up eating tavern, like thin crust, cut into squares. And so that's what I like. But yeah, it's not for everybody. Some people swear by it, but I ain't one of those people. I'm not a huge fan of New York pizza. That's
see.
just
I
me.
like it. I like a crunch. I like the thin crust, crispy.
It's fine.
Just enough. It's a big slice, so you're
It's
not
fine.
too full, but you can have one.
Pizza's one of those things I don't understand why people argue, because there's whatever you do like, somebody's making that kind of pizza.
And a lot of it.
And a lot.
Yeah.
It's not like there's somebody going, you know how I like it, and it's a kind you've never heard of before, right? It's like every major metropolitan area thinks they have their own style of pizza, right? Oh, St. Louis style, Cleveland style. Yeah, those don't exist. There's only a handful, but whatever you like, there's a version of it. And somebody will make it for you. Or
You know
you
what
make
it
it
is?
yourself.
I think Chicago is like approachably hot. Like, you know how people have said that in the past where someone's like, oh, you're a 9, but you're like so cool.
I've
That's
never
how I feel
said
about
that.
Chicago. You've
What?
never
You're-
heard the term approachably hot?
That's what he called Nikki Glazer. That's what turned Nikki Glazer off to Bill
That's what I'm
Squire.
saying.
Yeah.
That's
She
what
got
I
all
feel
frosty
like
after he
Chicago
called her
is.
that.
That's what I think Chicago
And I meant it
is.
in a really nice way.
Yeah, and she's from St. Louis. She's just from down the road.
Chicago
And
is like it's an accessible, attainable. It's a big city in the Midwest. It still feels Midwest.
Well,
Whereas
everybody's
out
polite.
here-
People are polite.
Yeah, the people are so much nicer.
Some of them will murder you, but they're very polite when they
Now
shoot
and
you.
then,
Yes.
Now and then.
That's called friendly fire.
Yeah.
I got to give you money here. It's $1,000. Back to it, courtesy of the Buzzard bookie. Listen closely and good luck.
This is your chance to bet with the Buzzard Bookie and win $1,000 now. Enter this nationwide keyword at WMMS.com. Credit. That's credit. Enter it now at WMMS.com.
Who doggy? Bill and I saw each other at the Guardians game.
Well,
last
no,
week,
we
too.
saw each other here after the
Well,
Guardians
after,
game.
but yeah. I picked the wrong night because the next night, friends of mine went and they were posting stuff. They're from here. And that was the night that the Sox won like 8-2, and there was fireworks and all these like.
You went on the right night. You saw a walk-off win.
It was a great game.
It was a great game.
And my daughter is like she loves baseball now. Of course, she's a diehard Guardians fan now.
Nice.
She's sitting there wearing her floral block C cap.
Oh, I love that.
And she's sitting there and she looks at me and she goes, you know why I like baseball? Because I'm wearing my White Sox shirt, right? And she goes, you know why I like this? And I said, why? And she goes, because it's God, what did she say? Something like, it's the only time I can be against you.
Aw.
And I go, well, it's not the only
Tell her
time,
to hate
of
Chicago.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's what, because Gwen's from Detroit, so like the Tigers are her team, and you know.
You all have different teams. That's cute.
Right, but so then we're sitting there, and Nora's like obviously transfixed every time they're showing people on the Jumbotron. And she looks at me and she goes, you're ruining my chances of getting on camera because of your White Sox shirt. Because I'm like, they're not going to put somebody on in a White Sox shirt, right? There were a couple.
They would.
No.
They have, and then everybody boos
Then
them.
everybody boos them, yeah.
Well, but they're not. Okay, fine. But they didn't do that night, I guess I should say. I saw a couple of people, because if it's the Cubs, you'll see a lot of people in Cubs jerseys. You don't see a ton of people in White Sox gear, and that's fine. But yeah, she's like, next time, wear a regular shirt. I go, well, we were up in the club seats. I go, well, you got to be further down, too. They're not climbing those cameras way up in the.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
in
they
the
are.
Are they?
Because
I didn't see anybody
we
on
were
camera
up-
that wasn't
we
sitting
were
behind
all
home
the
plate.
way- No, because they had the camera up in the 500 section, and we were against the wall because I don't get the iHeart tickets like you do. I have to pay for my own and being a little cheap. And so we were up against like the very back, and my girlfriend's niece got on.
Oh, cool.
See, we've talked about this before, and I stand by it. I am not sitting in the back section of a stadium. I would
Well, you're
rather
a
go
bougie
to.
bitch.
I'd rather go to a bar and watch it, or watch it at home,
Well, it's
because you're not part of the experience.
you absolutely
all the way up
are.
there. No,
you
you're not.
absolutely are.
I like.
The kids had a great time. We had a great time, and you can see the field like the way
Everybody
that
looks like ants. You're not seeing the players.
you're seeing enough. You can see what's
watching-
going on.
Yeah, but you're watching
Have
the
you s-
screen.
No, you
anyway.
can't watch the screen because they don't show anything on the screen.
Listen. It's more fun at a baseball game the closer you are.
I feel like that about all sports across the board. Because we talked about this during Cavs season when I was like, I don't like sitting in Loudville. I don't think it's as much fun because I'm watching the screen anyway. And then I'm aggravated that I'm so far away
See,
from all the action.
At the Cavs game, the way I don't know, there's something about the way that the field is set up for
Court?
baseball.
The
You can
court.
Oh, field
no
for
the
baseball.
field for baseball, and like you can see pretty well. Like you can see the whole field. So you can't call balls and strike that well, but you can see what's happening. Like you have a very good view of the field. Whereas I've sat in every other part of the field, and there's parts where you can't see very well because there's things blocking your view.
I want to be.
I like to be behind home plate. I prefer, but I'm not going to pay $120 a ticket for 4 people to go to a game.
Yeah.
See, I would.
No, me too.
But now we went to 2 games in 2 weeks.
Well, right. You're going a lot. Like, we're going to go a couple times.
Yeah, I probably go to 2 games a year.
Yeah. Go when the Tigers are in town, and we go when the White Sox are in town.
If you're going every
I think
week,
you gotta
then I get that.
You got to, like...
I've sat in those seats, and I don't like them.
It's not that bad.
It is. I almost left a date when a dude took me to the 500s. I'm not even joking. It was a Browns game, and he took me to the 500s, and I was like, I don't want
Football's
to be here.
Terrible live anyway. Football's the worst.
I love football live.
Football is the worst sport to watch live. There's so much downtime.
You're totally watching the Jumbotron at a football game.
You can't see anything that's happening. You can't, like, it's football's the worst sport. The energy's great. I'm going to get the energy is great, but the watching the game experience is difficult.
I cheered for both football and basketball all the way through college. And for me, football was the most exciting live.
For you.
I've always loved watching
football. When you're on the sideline.
And everybody always says, oh, basketball's way more exciting than football, blah, 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 blah. But again, I've said it. I feel like you can watch the last 30 seconds of a basketball game and you get what you need to get. You don't really need to watch the whole thing.
That's why I like hockey when you're sitting behind the glass. They're like slamming in the glass, and it's great.
You won't catch me in those 500. I'd rather stay home.
Yeah, you tell them. You
Eat a
tell them.
snack.
So bougie.
No, listen, I think people should have the experience they want. And I'm willing to drop a little. Now, again, all I did this time was I went to Tracy and said, hey, do we have any good seats for the White Sox game? She's like, yeah. Cool, thank you. A lot of times I'll ask and they'll go, no, they gave them to clients or something. So this time, well, whatever. This time it worked out. But I would absolutely drop some coin if it's like a proper experience.
Yeah.
That's worth it to me.
Everybody had fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I had a good time.
I'm going to take a break here. If you want to send a text, 35192 to get me there, AlanCoxShow.com. For everything else, you want to watch live, and we'll be back.
The Alan Cox Show.